This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Some people are back to living on the streets after a West End apartment building was shuttered. The city ordered the closure of the Adanac building yesterday. The situation highlights just how hard it is to find affordable housing in Winnipeg. CBC's Cameron McLean brings us the latest.
Here in this homeless encampment, Joshua Myron is making a home.
Well, I'm very anxious.
On Monday, city officials ordered the owners of the Adanac apartment on Sargent Avenue to vacate the building. The apartment has faced a multitude of issues, including homicides, assaults, and fires. While some residents managed to get their belongings out before it was boarded up, Myron wasn't so lucky.
I went there, I got there, and they already boarded out the whole thing, and I couldn't get any of my stuff out.
This camp on the south bank of the Assiniboine River near the Maryland Bridge has now grown. People in the camp told us there are about a dozen people living there. And while some housing advocates say living in any shelter is better than living in an encampment, one city councillor disagrees.
This is a life and safety issue for residents that are living in this building.
Cindy Gilroy has been calling for the Adanac to be shuttered for months. Fire inspectors found several violations, like a non-functioning fire alarm system and blocked fire escapes. St. Boniface Streetlinks has housed people, including Joshua Myron, in the building. The outreach group has called for government support workers to be placed in buildings that house people suffering from addictions and mental health struggles. Gilroy agrees.
And that's what the government needs to step in and do in order the safety of residents and keeping them housed.
Siloam Mission worked with the Adanac residents to find them new places. Tessa Whitecloud says part of the problem is a lack of supply of affordable housing.
Other cities have 3 times as much social housing per capita need than we do in Winnipeg. So we have 3 social housing units for every 20 low-income people. Calgary has 9 per 20. Regina has 8 per 20.
People in the camp are now bracing for what's next.
Yeah, I'm very worried because in the winter there, my fingertips are always cold.
A reality of a winter on the street. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
NDP leader Wab Kinew says he's confident a government under his leadership could freeze electricity rates for 1 year. And he expects the independent regulator that sets energy prices to agree with him. The CBC's Ian Fraze reports.
The price of electricity has come as a shock to many Manitobans. Despite the province having some of the cheapest rates in North America, the cost keeps rising every year, something the NDP wants to stop.
We should be able to deliver to you, the people of Manitoba, some real cost savings. And a 0% rate freeze at a time of high inflation.
Outside a transmission station in Winnipeg, Wab Kinew announced Tuesday his party wants to freeze electricity rates for 1 year. The NDP would do it by reducing the annual fees that Hydro, a Crown corporation, pays the province by $37.5 million, and by dipping into contingency funds in the budget.
And I can think of no greater contingency that we should be preparing for than to help the average Manitoban.
Kinew says those 2 measures should convince the Independent Public Utilities Board that rates should stay the same.
We think this is well deserved.
The Liberals say the NDP shouldn't be celebrated for taking less money out of Hydro. The utility is $24 billion in debt.
People keep blaming Hydro for its dams. This is the result of over 20 years of political interference, and both political interference and the PCs and NDP just reaching into Hydro's coffers and cleaning them out so that they could balance budgets.
Last year, the Progressive Conservative government cut some of the fees it takes from Hydro. MLA Cliff Cullen warned the NDP's promised rate freeze will hurt in the long run. Cullen's statement says Wab Kinew's temporary fake freeze today will cost you more tomorrow and distracts from his party's failures. The NDP tripled Manitoba Hydro's debt. If the NDP is elected, the rate freeze is still 2 years away. Before then, the Public Utilities Board needs to rule on Hydro's proposed 2% annual rate increase. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The parents of a boy who was injured on a school field trip to Fort Gibraltar are suing the City of Winnipeg and Festival du Voyageur. Several children were injured back in May when a wooden walkway they were on collapsed. They fell roughly 5 meters to the ground. The plaintiffs say their son broke bones in his hip and wrist. They say he will require more surgeries and could be permanently disabled. The lawsuit claims the city and Festival were negligent for failing to ensure the structure was safe. It had last been inspected 17 years earlier. The boys' parents are suing for undisclosed damages. If it seems you're swatting at more wasps this year, you're not alone. The president of Poulin's Pest Control says they had 69 calls about wasps last July. In the same month this year, they had 319. Lincoln Poulin says this is the time of year wasps get aggressive. He says people have been finding wasp nests everywhere, from trees to cracks in their siding. Wasps will sting when they feel threatened, so Poulin advises using a sheet of paper to wave them away instead of your hand. He says foams and powders are effective in killing wasps in the nest. A collaboration between the Canadian Centre for Agricultural Research in Health and Medicine and Assiniboine Park Conservancy is celebrating the health benefits of a rather new type of berry called the lingonberry. These berries are a new addition to the gardens at the Leaf. CBC's Zubina Ahmed brings you more.
Small and red, there's a new berry on the block called lingonberry. 50 of these plants have found a new home at the Leaf Kitchen Garden in Assiniboine Park. Their closest culinary match is the cranberry. These bright red lingonberries might taste sweet in the beginning, but they taste tart towards the end. And according to food scientists, they have 3 times higher antioxidants than blueberries or cranberries. Food scientists from the Canadian Centre for Agricultural Research in Health and Medicine, or CCARM, have been researching lingonberries for years. Now they're partnering with the Assiniboine Park Conservancy to build public knowledge of the berry's many health benefits.
In terms of anti-inflammatory, we use animal models in St. Boniface, and we check against chronic kidney disease, animal models, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and also acute kidney injury.
Dr. Seo says the berry is most common in Scandinavian countries, but relatively unknown to Canadians. They're usually grown in the wild and not yet cultivated for local consumption.
This is a great opportunity for the public to get to know this berry, which is native to Manitoba. It's grown all over northern Manitoba and northern part of Canada.
For the Assiniboine Park Conservancy, including lingonberry plants in the gardens is a way for them to help build public awareness.
When the opportunity came to partner with the research, it was a great fit, because it really allows people to take a look and see something new, something a little bit different, and something that has a lot of potential.
CCRM says it's a European variety of lingonberry that's been donated to Assiniboine Park. Scientists say that they have been acclimatized to southern Manitoba growing conditions. They were planted in late June this year, and we can expect full berries next July. Zubina Ahmed, CBC News, Winnipeg.
High school football players in Manitoba will have some professional protection as they head back this fall. The Winnipeg Football Club, owners of the Blue Bombers, is donating 525 new football helmets to 35 high school football programs across the province. The helmets would normally cost schools around $435 each. Bomber President and CEO Wade Miller says the Winnipeg Football Club is committed to helping amateur football grow and to ensure kids are wearing safe equipment. The club has donated more than $300,000 in equipment to youth programs this season. A very tight housing market, not only here in Manitoba, but in Canada as a whole, was a key topic at the federal cabinet retreat in Charlottetown today. Right now, Ottawa is looking at how it might help ease demand. As CBC's JP Tasker reports, it's considering limits on the number of foreign students allowed into the country.
Harshal Basgowri is starting at Toronto's George Brown College in the fall. The search for a place he can afford isn't going well.
If I'm gonna be honest, I'm always moments away from like a mental breakdown, just from the stress of wondering if I'm going to be homeless soon.
With Canada facing an acute shortage of affordable housing, Ottawa is considering a limit on international students.
There's some abuse in the system, and we have to address this in a smart way. It includes potentially looking at a cap.
That's new. The number's never been capped before. There's more than 800,000 foreign students at the country's universities and colleges, an eye-popping figure that Ottawa believes has driven up the price of rent.
The micro-inflationary pressure that international students present in certain areas of the country, notably in big cities, is real.
Trudeau's point person on provincial issues says Canada's economy depends on newcomers. Striking the right balance, that's the challenge.
The conversation needs to proceed at the same time so that we don't inadvertently end up in a position that makes the housing affordability issue worse.
This professor has been tapped by the Prime Minister to help solve the housing crunch. His suggested fix, student visas tied to a place to live.
What that would do is create incentives for the colleges and universities to create on-campus housing.
A cap won't be in effect for this school year, and there's likely to be pushback from Canada's universities and colleges. But a limit on foreign students could be one practical solution to a pressing political problem. JP Tasker, CBC News, Charlottetown.
A music rapper and producer from Manitoba has won CBC's Searchlight contest.
And I'm with you, I'm in paradise, paradise. I swear my eyes are paralyzed, paralyzed. 'Cause with you, I'm in paradise, paradise.
Matt Mack, whose real name is Matthew Monius, is from Garden Hill First Nation. The Oji-Cree music producer and rapper, who is blind, started singing at the age of 4. His music has captivated large audiences, garnering more than 10 million combined listens across music streaming platforms, and 500,000 likes on TikTok, with one video garnering 2.7 million views. The Searchlight win lands him a week-long masterclass during the next Juno Awards, a recording time with an engineer in Calgary, a promotional distribution campaign, and money for equipment. Fantastic to see our local talent doing so well, huh?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic to see people digging out their sweaters because it's getting cold.
Yeah, kind of a sweater and comfort food kind of day, but boy, we're not far from some very, very warm air, which I will show you. Right now, the Winnipeg current conditions, and we are down 1 from our high today, which was 21. Forecast high was 22. We're at 20 now. East winds at 19. Pressure is still falling, 101.6 currently, but I do want to show you some temperatures to the south of us. These are current temperatures down from the daytime highs. Grand Forks at 19 at one point this afternoon. At the same time, Fargo was at 30, 34 in Sioux Falls. It was 37 earlier this afternoon in Minneapolis, now 36 degrees. And look at this dome of warm air here. Wichita, Kansas, 39. That's down from the high today of 40, and it was 39 as well in Dallas-Fort Worth. But this surface high is just continually circulating this very warm air up into the upper Midwest. So just thought I'd show you that the warm air is not far away. A few showers today, mostly north of us, just cloudy skies through the Red River Valley and the Winnipeg area. And what little shower activity we saw this afternoon is now moving off into Ontario. That will change as the next surge of moisture moves our way tomorrow, reaching southeastern Saskatchewan with showers and storms early in the morning. And then on into the afternoon and evening, we'll see some scattered showers and storms. So this is 8 p.m. And we have some of that moving through into the Red River Valley and the southeast, and even on later on in the evening, a few more of these will move on through. So this is 11:30 p.m. Thursday, a quieter day, but the cloud is back. I'm calling it a sun-cloud mix. Late Thursday, we could see some more scattered showers on into the afternoon and evening hours. And then maybe some of that lasts into Friday as well. Thunderstorm risk for tomorrow. This red area you see here is where we have a risk for severe storms. Hail the size of golf balls wind gusts over 90 kilometers per hour, and some localized heavy rains. Outside in the yellow region, that's non-severe storms, so the wind gusts are not quite as high. Between now and 24 hours from now, we don't see a whole lot of rain here, but then it really picks up as we head into Wednesday night and on in through the day. Thursday, where we've got a 6 in Lac du Bonnet, a 9 in Brandon, a 16 in Melita. So again, these showers will be isolated. Also need to think about fog, but really it's out to the west towards Saskatchewan in the morning. Not really here in the Winnipeg area, but you can see some lower visibilities out to the west, just 600 meters first thing in the morning in Swan River. So tonight down to 16, mainly cloudy skies, and then tomorrow morning we are at 17. Cloudy. The chance for showers here is afternoon and evening. Tomorrow in the north, the only chance for rain is really closer to the lakes and out to the west, the Paw, Norway House. Otherwise, temps in the 20s and plenty of sunshine, even up into the Churchill area. And then we've got the afternoon showers and storms. Possible severe storms around Brandon, Verdun, down through Killarney. Non-severe storms with evening showers here in Winnipeg and areas out to the east, and that does include Kenora, Dryden, and Red Lake for tomorrow afternoon.
Thank you, John. Checking with you a bit later. We're going to check on the wildfire situation in BC after the break, so stay with us. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News. The wildfire conditions in British Columbia are improving. That's good news. Officials now are beginning to assess the damage. CBC's Georgie Smythe has the latest.
As conditions improve in BC, we're beginning to know more about some of the damage to homes and other structures in the province's interior. It's estimated up to 200 buildings have been destroyed by fire in the Okanagan region, which has seen flames on both sides of the lake there. Even last night, fire crews were still battling several spot fires, but the overall message today is that fire activity has calmed down significantly. Many evacuation orders have been called down, and some people have been allowed to go home. Temperatures are cooler, but there is still a heavy layer of smoke over the city of Kelowna, something officials touched on earlier at a press conference.
It's covered our city like a gray blanket. And I know it kind of represents the way that a lot of you are feeling, and it definitely represents the way that we're feeling too. I know lots of you are tired. You're tired of being out of your homes. You're tired of this situation that we're in, and so are we.
Smoke in the city is expected to lift today, which would mean that planes for aerial surveying could be put back to work. And if that does happen, we should get a better picture of some of the damage to structures and land. That hasn't been possible until now because of the low visibility in the last few days. But residents are being cautioned that seeing those hillsides for the first time since the fire could be confronting for them. Also surveying the damage today is BC's Premier David Eby, who visited some evacuees in Kamloops, as well as some of fire-affected communities in Shuswap and the Okanagan. The Premier also heard from residents who say that they've become frustrated with roadblocks and police preventing them from entering some areas that are still under evacuation orders.
They're getting arrested. There are police boats at the shore stopping supplies, fuel, for generators. People in Inglemont running out of food. They're trying to help boat stuff over. Like, where's the logic in that?
Trying to keep people safe is number one, right?
We have heard from BC's wildfire service about the issue of people not abiding by those evacuation orders. We've been told that some of those interactions have resulted in high-speed chases in these evacuated areas. But fire crews are asking the public for more patience today while they assess the affected areas, and hopefully more people are allowed back home soon. Georgie Smythe, CBC News, Vancouver.
4 flights carrying evacuees from the Northwest Territories have now landed in Winnipeg. They're not required to register when they arrive, but 69 people have registered. The province is working with the Canadian Red Cross to meet their essential needs. Now, 69 is a far cry from the thousands of Northerners who've poured into Alberta. Madeline Cummings shows us how Albertans are stepping up.
Thousands of wildfire evacuees from the Northwest Territories have temporarily settled in Alberta. And though food and shelter is available, expenses and needs are piling up. So volunteers are springing into action to fill the gaps. In the city of Leduc, just south of Edmonton, 4 women have been gathering and distributing donations since Saturday. Dozens of people have asked them for help on social media.
It's pretty emotional for a lot of people, for sure. Especially when somebody said to me, he said, "You're renewing my faith in humanity." And so that was like, whoa. You don't want to cry. I'm trying not to be emotional here. But it's pretty impressive, And just knowing that they've lost everything.
Wheeler says evacuees need microwavable meals, underwear, and laundry detergent. And the longer people remain here, the more help they'll need. In Yellowknife, rain has helped firefighters manage the wildfire near the city. But the situation is more dire in the south, with fires threatening the communities of Hay River and Fort Smith.
Today is going to be a really challenging day for these fires. We've got winds with a southerly component in Fort Smith, and we've got temperatures that are supposed to reach up to 27 degrees in the area, and that could push the fire towards the community.
Back in Leduc, Wheeler and her daughter have set up supplies for evacuees staying at a local campground. Another volunteer has been visiting hotels. With no timeline for evacuees to return home, volunteers expect they'll be busy over the days to come. Madeline Cummings, CBC News, Leduc, Alberta.
At least 3 people have been injured after an explosion rocked downtown Prince George, BC.
The cause of the explosion is currently unknown. Many people with injuries have been already taken to hospital.
It happened at an abandoned building that used to house a Greek restaurant. The blast and the fire that followed leveled the building. Several nearby structures were also damaged. The explosion even shook houses as far as 5 kilometers away. The RCMP in Prince George is now investigating the cause. A high-risk rescue has ended successfully in Pakistan. 6 children and 2 teachers were pulled to safety from a cable car in the northwest of the country. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! The students and teachers were taking the cable car to get to school when one of 2 cables snapped, leaving them dangling almost 300 meters above a remote ravine. Military helicopters managed to get 1 person to safety, but that effort was called off after fears the draft from the helicopter would cause the gondola to fall. After several hours, rescuers made their way carefully along the remaining cable and brought the trapped passengers out the same way. It's great that everyone's safe. Still to come, meteorologist John Sauter and your 7-day forecast. Then we'll have your Daily Lift. Stay with us. CBC News will be right back.
Well, not a lot of sunshine and a little unsettled over the next few days. Tomorrow, a chance for those afternoon, evening thunderstorms. Again, some evening showers on Thursday, morning showers Friday. Again, a cool day on Friday and breezy out of the northeast. And then we kind of get stable over the weekend and a lot warmer, not just through the weekend, but on into next week. A zoo in Tennessee has an unusual looking newborn.
Quite easy to spot, really, because she's the only giraffe without spots.
Oh.
Here's your daily lift.
We've been in contact with zoo professionals all over the country, and especially the old timers that have been around for a long time. Hey, have you seen this? What's your thoughts? And nobody's seen it.
I was going to say maybe it's a long-necked horse, but that is a giraffe, less than a month old. Lack of spots, remarkably rare for these creatures. Patterns help a giraffe blend in if they're in the African wilderness. Out there, standing out is not a good thing because, somebody might be trying to eat you. According to researchers, the last known giraffe with no spots was born in Tokyo in 1972. Now, John, they said she.
Yeah.
Baby doesn't have a name yet, baby giraffe.
Yeah, I have an idea.
What is it?
Spotless.
Ha! I thought you might go spotty or spot. Spotless works.
Spotless.
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 Clean as anything. Thank you for being with us.
Have a great night.
See you later.